I'm Miss Mila Rose and welcome back to my YouTube channel for another Storytime series in the story of my life. I'm going to give you a brief recap on what happened in the last episode, and that includes traveling to Montreal with my friend Brittany, graduation and prom with my friend Brittany, and getting the silent treatment by my friend Brittany. In today's episode, we're going to pick up where we left off, so let's get started. So I realized that my friend Brittany was no longer going to be on speaking terms with me, and I don't know what I thought. I guess I thought that this was going to be like a semi-permanent thing, and it hurt a lot. And to be quite honest, I'm a little surprised I'm not crying right now, because for the last years, like this particular moment to me hurt tenfold more than anything that happened in my upbringing in my childhood house. This situation would bring me to tears, where things I experienced growing up, domestic violence, abuse, never did anymore. I got past that, but this one always hurt. Maybe it's because I've talked about it with therapists and thought about it enough, and maybe I finally felt some closure from it. I definitely feel myself getting emotional, but I don't feel like I'm going to like cry. So I'm going to talk about the situation more. The first day that I realized that she wasn't going to be talking to me anymore, I remember it hit me really hard. I do remember crying a lot that night. I guess the sheer, at least, belief system that I was alone in this world, that I had no one, that no one loved me, that no one cared about me, like all of those thoughts, right? And like now I'm starting to feel a little bit more emotional, I think, like, because that's what it triggered, right? It triggered the abandonment, it triggered the story. You are not loved, you are not cared about, you don't matter, you are alone. I started feeling so good living with her and her family, and I started feeling so loved, and I think possibly I started taking that for granted. And I guess it was a wake-up call that like you can't ever feel at home or at ease or at peace. Like you always have to, I guess at the very least, feel humble, and remember where you came from, and remember the things you've been through, and remember that at the end of the day, like, none of this is yours. This is not your home. This is not your family. This is not your place in the world. At least those are the belief systems that I had at the time, and what I was remembering. That I was remembering those stories and those belief systems and realizing that those were the truth. I think in that time of place, you really start like trying to cling and search for anyone in your life that you can be with, spend time with, have a connection to. And I'd lost so many people in my life that I didn't have many people left. I mean, most of the people that were not in my life anymore were very toxic, like, let's be honest. And I've never once regretted not speaking to the majority of these people. My friend Marie, Ashley, Shannon, Haley, I've never once regretted, ever. Not once did I ever question it. It was the most obvious, sensical, it's not even a word, decision that I'd made. And when I mean dropping them, like I was like, I guess I kind of ghosted them, but at the same time, like they never reached out. So I don't know what to call that. It was very reciprocated, I guess, and it speaks volumes that it was reciprocated, I'd say. The only friends that I currently had in contact with were Jenny and Amy. Both of these girls went to different schools. Around this time anyway, it was just studying for finals, take exams. That was it. And then wrap up the school year. So the silent treatment definitely happened before exams started, and the last like few classes that we had together. It might have been like the last 3 days, I don't remember. Or last week, probably. I remember I spent time after school with my friend Amy and Jenny. Specifically, I think I spent a lot of time with Amy. I realized just now I haven't talked much about my mother or my brother, but they did actually come in here and there in previous story times. I completely forgot that they were part of the picture still, kind of. So I'm gonna bring a couple mini story times up. One about my mother, just to like touch base. Like I did not have contact with my mother. She wasn't allowed to go to the school and see me or talk to me. When I was with my friend Marie, she wasn't allowed to speak to me, but the mother handled conversations because she knew where she lived, where I was, on my behalf. And when I lived with my friend Brittany, my mother didn't have her phone number, her address. She didn't even know this girl. So I was like completely like cut off from her. But there was a moment I remember when I was around the neighborhood where closer to home, and I was at passing by a bus stop or something like that. I don't remember exactly. And my friend Brittany and I bumped into my mother, and my mother was trying to have a conversation with Brittany, and Brittany was the type of person to like stop and have the conversation out of not being rude. And I was like, no, like we're going, like let's go kind of thing. So I pulled her away and we continued walking. Like I think I might have had another interaction with my mother where she might have been like walking around Marie's house, and I was walking and kind of passed, and she was trying to get my attention. I completely like tried to like get away as quickly as possible. It was like a couple instances where I'd seen her, but I like scapegoated like as much as I could away from her to have like any sort of like communication. So at the end of the day, I still lived in the same city as my mother, and it was a very small, like Etobicoke is a very small little tight-knit community. Not that tiny, but like small enough that you're gonna bump into people you know. My brother, I remember when I was living with my friend Marie, I think Marie or someone may have texted me because they had contact with my brother and said, hey, like your brother's not looking very well, like he looks very skinny, he looks unwell. I know that he was very body dysmorphic as well, like me, and I wouldn't have been surprised if he was like starving himself. So I'm like, okay, like I'm getting a little concerned for him. Like, yes, my brother did do things to me, and I talked about these things on my YouTube channel where he was physically abusive towards me. But at the same time, it was very easy for me to forgive my brother, because to me, my brother went through the same thing as me. Like, yeah, he was older, he might have been able to handle it better, but he still went through the same trauma as me to some extent or another. It was like the exact same. So I was more easily able to overlook and forgive the things that my brother did. Did those memories still hurt? And the fact that he did those things, yes. But like, to me, it was like, it's just because of the way that we were brought up and treated and the family dynamic and all these things. Like, I don't think he would have ever done that if he was raised in a different way as well. So I don't know, like I wanted to reach out to my brother and see how he was, and I was worried about him. So I got my brother's number from my friend Marie or Jenny, I don't remember, one of the two. Maybe they both had his number, I'm not sure. And I met him with my friend Amy at McDonald's, and we were just having a conversation. And after that, I did meet up with my brother every now and then outside of school time, just like catch up, chat, hang out. We did do that sometimes, and our relationship and bond was improving and strengthening, and like I guess we became kind of closer, and I was catching up to like what was going on in his life. I know around this time he got a job in Mississauga, so he was moving to Mississauga, and he was going to be working his first like job because he had like jobs before. Like I know he had like a tutoring gig, but the lady he was replacing and covering, she was like in labor, like she was pregnant or something, so there was like a 6 months or something that he was covering for her at a private school. He was now working at a company that they created like electronic equipment that were like for medical use or something. Like if a person was like deaf, then they would make like a device or a machine where it would like you'd be able to hear, or like if the person was blind, you'd be able to like hear the thing, or like vice versa, like, you know, like stuff like that, like medical equipment for disabled people, things like that. Like that's the kind of thing he worked on. I know he majored in physics, but he always wanted to do like programming, and that was like what he was passionate about. So this was like kind of in the line of things that he was good at doing and kind of the job that he wanted, I think. Although I'm sure he would have been much happier doing like game design or like programming for like a video game. So I was in contact with my brother. As you know, I got my first cell phone when I was finishing up 11th grade. So I was in communication with Jenny, Amy, and my brother. And I think throughout the summer, I was particularly hanging out with like all these people, like separately, of course, but like every now and then I would see one of these people. I remember specifically like when exams were over, I spent some time with my friend Amy, and she introduced me to this video game called League of Legends. And she encouraged me to play it with her and her group of online friends. Her group of online friends who she had met online, and they were playing League of Legends. They had like a whole Skype group set up where they would get online, chat and hang out and play some League of Legends. I think only one of her friends online actually lived in Toronto, like not even Toronto, he lived in like Brampton, but Brampton is like kind of considered a part of Toronto, even though it's not part of the GTA. So I started playing this game with my friend Amy, and I would get on and play with her and her friends, and they taught me how to play and learning the ropes. Started a new account. I think the first champion I was playing was Leona. I was encouraged to play her because I think I was like, yeah, I'll go support. And they're like, oh, Leona's really good. I'm like, okay. So let me backtrack really quick to what's going on with me and Brittany, because I did kind of give you a bit of a picture of where I was at and who I was hanging out with at the start of summer break and I guess the end of exam time at the start of summer break, but I didn't talk too much about what was going on with the whole silent treatment thing. So I remember it was at least 3 days that my friend Brittany was not speaking to me and never tried to speak to me, and I had just accepted it and I never tried to reach out to her, and I was really hurt over the whole situation. I remember hearing her having a conversation with her mother and sister-in-law in the living room one night, and I think it was about me and her, and I remember Brittany was kind of like brushing it off, like, I'm not, like, there's nothing, like, don't worry about it, I think. It was in Serbian, so I don't really know what it was about, but like I kind of understood a little bit of dialogue here and there, so I picked up on a little bit of what was going on with the conversation. I just assumed they were asking like, what the heck is going on with you and Mila? what's going on? Like, please, like, we want to know what's going on, like, it's concerning. I remember my friend Brittany came into the room, the office I was staying in, on a few occasions, and she'd be like, hey, and she would ask me a question or something like, do you want dinner, or make small talk or something. Like the first time she like tried to make like any conversation with me in I don't know how long, at least 3 days, and I just remember not being able to speak. Like my throat was closed. I don't even remember if I specifically tried the first time she like tried to reach out. I think I might have like non-verbally just like shook my head or nodded or something. I don't completely remember, but I do remember like eventually like I was trying, and I remember I just couldn't, like I couldn't communicate with this girl, even though I was getting towards a place where I wanted to. Sorry, it's hot and I'm sweating. I know I shared with my friend Amy the whole situation with Brittany and I and what was going on, and I don't know if Brittany and Amy were talking to each other and having a conversation about me. It's possible. I know I was sharing to Amy that I was like, I can't speak to her, like I don't know what it is, but I'm unable to get words out with my friend, with Brittany. Because they knew each other. They were kind of friends too, but like not that close. Like I knew Amy since like middle school, like years. But at the same time, Amy had once been a part of the group while she was attending our school, so Brittany and her had become a bit of friends with each other as well, and I think I spent time with Brittany and Amy as well sometimes too. So the whole dynamic between my friend Brittany and I living at her house was really weird. I remember Brittany was very dedicated to her family business. She was doing a lot of work for the business, and I know it was summer break, so I'm sure Brittany was expected to take on a lot of the family responsibility roles. And I kind of just kept to myself. I would go out, I would see Amy, I would see Jenny, I would see my brother on occasion, and outside of that, I think I was doing like a lot of walking. In the Humber, I was trying to still work on my body goals at the time, lose more weight. I'd worked off of like most of the weight that I gained over the summer break. I think I was down to closer to like 127 pounds around summer break, and I was still trying to like lose more because I was trying to get back to at least like 120, where I was starting to gain all of the weight back. And then in the evenings, I would get on and I would play League of Legends with my friend Amy and her friends on Skype. At this time too, I'm just remembering Brittany's sister-in-law, who lived with us as well, she had a child and it was a baby. And this baby, they would like put the baby to bed at a certain hour, like had a whole sleep schedule, things like that. And Brittany was helping take care of this baby. She learned a little bit how to take care of babies because her older sister had had a child. So she was a babysitter a lot of the time for that child. And now she's also taking care of this child on top of like all the work that she was doing for the company. So yeah, she was really busy. Brittany would knock on the door. She would come in, she'd be like, hey, like, can you keep it down? The baby's trying to sleep, kind of thing, like every now and then. I had like earbuds in, so it was like kind of hard to realize I was being a little too loud, so I would have to like try to be as quiet as possible. But I just had so much fun. Like, it was really nice to be able to connect and have fun with people, because like, again, like the chunk of time prior, like I felt really alone, very isolated. So it was really nice to have this almost like a mini community of people coming together, hanging out, having a good time. Since my brother was making the move to Mississauga, my friend Jenny and I thought it would be a great idea to host him a housewarming party, or like a housewarming thing. And so what we ended up doing is we ended up helping him pick out things for his apartment. We helped him pick out like color schemes, like towels and bath mats and bedding and stuff, just to like really kind of coordinate his apartment a little bit better. Jenny had so much fun with this, and I was helping too, but I think Jenny like really enjoyed doing this. And yeah, it was really fun having her come with me to my brother's apartment and hang out and do all that stuff. We made cupcakes, and I think we forgot to buy like baking soda or something, so we ended up finding out that if we got like Coca-Cola, like we can use that to make the cupcakes rise. That's what Jenny said. I don't even remember if it worked, but my brother always drank Coke, so there was always Coke in the fridge, so we used Coke to raise the cupcakes. But yeah, it was a really good time. I spent a lot of time with Jenny. I think I also did a sleepover at Jenny's sometime during the summer break, towards like the beginning of the summer break. I spent like a whole weekend with her. I had told her the situation with Brittany, and I was like, hey, like it feels like really weird now that school's out and I'm taking up space in their place. Like, I don't feel good about this. So she was like, hey, like why don't you come over to my place and spend the weekend doing a sleepover, and I'm sure my parents will be okay with it because they know you. I packed a bag and I went to my friend Jenny's. We were playing Slender Man, that really scary game, and I think we watched some TV. I think we filmed some videos, like reaction videos of us playing Slender Man, and I think I'd put those videos like on my YouTube channel. I think like they're no longer there, like my like OG like my YouTube channel account. I put like animations and stuff like that on there, and I did have a Slender Man reaction video of me and my friend Jenny playing Slender Man. It was a great time. We had a really good time. I think we ate pizza. It was a good time. We enjoyed ourselves a lot. So like, despite the whole situation with my friend Brittany, looking back at it, like obviously it was shitty. I didn't want to be on non-speaking terms with my friend Brittany. I didn't want us to have a falling out, but at the same time, like that falling out meant that I was able to spend more time with Jenny, connect with my brother, Amy, and also discover this whole League of Legends craze at the time. So getting back to League of Legends briefly before I call it a day for the episode, I met a boy. I'm not going to get into all the information today. I'm just going to talk a little bit, and then I'll pick up my Storytime series with how I lost my virginity in the next episode. And so I know you're desperate to hear the next part of my story because of the spoilers I just gave you, but you're just going to have to wait, sit tight, and hold out for my next Storytime episode. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I really hope you... My power just flickered. I really hope you found it entertaining, and I am very excited to share the next part of my Storytime series with you. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, turning on that notifications bell so you don't miss my next episode coming very soon. Bye for now. Till next time.